billion or 27.63 over the previous financial year in 2022.
So that's where some of the money come from. The treasury
Possible.
bills. Yeah. Later.
I don't need to.
Up until this point, there has later.
I don't need to.
Up until this point, hasn't been any. You have to be pragmatic about this. We are asking you. You have to be pragmatic about this. We are asking you to run this country on our behalf as the premier of the country. We are the clerk reads the bill. Bam, bam, bam.
Yes,
3 readings is done.
But when you are alone to yourself, when you are alone to yourself and laws, the norm has always been for 40 years. The norm has always been for 40 years. Whatever the federal says stands. This is the first time ever the federal says stands. This is the first time after 40 years, where you find the people.
You cannot trust this government with your resources. You cannot trust this government with your resources because they will spend it as they see fit. And the purpose of having an opposition in Parliament is to challenge these governments on any expenditure that comes. Good evening, sir.
And Tulu in the studio tonight?
Yes, he is.
Night.
Oh God, we tell you to pray for him. Tulu, stay good, because we got work to do next year.
Thank you.
And Mr. Carly and
Howie.
Mr. Daly, you heard the big thing down in St. Kitts? Where, you know, when ministers travel,
Oh.
the director of finance deal with that too?
We would have an input in that.
But when we understand, and this, you see, I looking at down here is everybody want to come reaching 13 days. See more and see more. Because it ain't going to be easy. It's challenging for these two little...
BPA and other hormone disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose in your life.
And we'll also hear from the good people at PICO. Have enough time for us to deal with anything that is pressing, Dr. Daly Tulu, before we go to closing statement. Deal with anything that is pressing, Dr. Daly Tulu, before we go to closing statements.
With the NIA. You know, he didn't come out and say it like that. But it was clearly what you read between the lines.
So altogether, the NIA invested about 1.350 US million dollar. US million dollar. That's not even 5%. That's not even 5% of the budget of a film that MSR invested. Now, that money that the NIA invested was paid directly by the NIA to, but Mr. Daniel refused. He didn't want to be seen that Mark Brantley was actually supporting him financially.
Right? Philip is mentioned in Four Seasons. For the first time, anybody's mentioned. Philip is mentioned in Four Seasons. For the first time, anybody's mentioned in Four Seasons officially. And the question must be asked. The government should not be responsible for your budget. They have not proven in any fashion whatsoever that we got any advertising bump from Nevis B.
The people them need proper representation in the moment of knowing how the damages that we
Call for the program tonight. Go ahead, Dr. Daly. We know the program tonight. Go ahead, Dr. Daly. We know at 9:56, eh?
Yeah.
Know at 9:56, eh?
Yeah. So I see this latest broadcast that was made. As a sort of link. The same address as Daniel Brantley and Associates. So what Philip is saying to us, perhaps inadvertently, is that Daniel Brantley had full knowledge of and participated in the design of the contract between him, between MSR, the feds, and those guys in Singers that deserve Martinez, because they came and stole him from me. He was in the wheelhouse. He was in the wheelhouse. His company was in the wheelhouse. His company was in the wheelhouse. From what I understanding from my guys in the legal profession. As a lawyer, you get a percent of the legal profession. As a lawyer, you get a percent of the value of the asset you're selling. As a lawyer, you get a percent of the value of the asset you're selling. Who drafted the contract to buy OTI. And we are business, we are a legal entity. We should make money wherever we want to make money. And so in Philip trying to extricate Daniel from, we were paying this gentleman here $150,000 US dollars for accommodation. Per movie, as they say. While people here sucking salt. While they're fighting cost of a country. So all the fancy talk about this and fancy talk about that and transparency and accountability, and we are government that are very transparent. Not at all so.
And daily, we're going to pick up this next week.
Yes.
It's 2 minutes after 10. And this is what he said to me. By text.
That's
and
right.
next thing you see them in a case.
That's right.
So if you call me your name Philip, I don't want nothing to do with you. Okay? Unless you are the king of England and you say you're going to give me some of your money. Somebody just sent me here. In the case of MSR Media St. Kitts Nevis Limited, et al. People who are named in the case.
Is that a RICO case?
That's the RICO. I believe that's the RICO case.
But I've said right from this platform here and on Saturday, based on the contract I saw, the agreement I saw between MSR hotels, MSR Media, and the government regarding the CBI shares that they were granted.
I'll be able to speak to that on the next Tell Me. Gentlemen, it's 5 minutes after 10, and are you ready? Gentlemen, it's 5 minutes after 10, and are you ready to go home? So I am, and I say it like I say, I want to run away. But I've been on the road all day today, and I have to get up early tomorrow to hit the road again. So all of you out there, remember that we want to celebrate with you. Those of you who are mourning, we want to wrap you in our love as well and to say good night to you. Have a good night, everybody. See you next